Hey everybody, this is Aaron the Pedantic, and today I am in a hotel because I am going to North Texas RPGCon. In fact, I've already been there, so has Milady over yonder. We went today, very briefly, because work and stuff, but we will be there for Saturday at the very least, and possibly Sunday. If anybody wants to come and say hi, just do it, we dare you. There's a meme there. Anyway, so it looked really cool. Everything was pretty much shut down by the time we got there, but we still found some cool stuff, and I am going to be making a few purchases, very likely, and trying to interview some people while I'm here. So if there's anybody that y'all see on the big guest list that they have that you would like, even if you somebody in the OSR industry that you would like to have interviewed that you think might be attending, comment and tell me what you want me to ask, and I'll ask some questions and we'll see how that goes. So I'm not as familiar with a lot of people's work as some of you are. So apologies if it's not the best, but at least, we'll have a chat and we'll see what comes of it. I'll at least find out what they've got going on in the pipeline and what they're up to, I'll get the best, most hardest hitting news. Anyway, so that is the discussion on North Texas RPGCon. If you're in the area, you should definitely go. It's very cool. I'm going to try and play in some games tomorrow. Anyway. What is today's video about? Today's video is that I have completely lost my mind. And what I mean by that is that I have been completely transformed. My position in how I look at role-playing games, at least D&D specifically, has completely shifted. And it only took, I guess, about 5 years. Whenever I first started playing role-playing games, I was one of the people that you would basically, character knowledge is versus player knowledge. The division is sacrosanct. You do not violate it. You do not violate it. Metagame, bad. Bad, 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 bad. Never, ever, ever. Don't do it. Just, you only know what your character should know. So that is the way that I looked at the game. And, a lot of that I think was from my influence from stuff like the dreaded Critical Role. Even though that wasn't how I was introduced to the hobby, I started watching it pretty early on, just listening to a little bit. Watching is not the right term. I don't sit there and look at their faces while they're rolling dice. But anyway, from that point, that was kind of my entry point. And that's just the way that a lot of people talked about the game, especially whenever I was in the 5th edition circles. As I have played more and more and more and more, that sacrosanctness has eroded over time. And I'm at a point now, I guess maybe this is just because I've been playing 1st edition and BX and all of these games where we're really doing some heavy-duty dungeon crawling. And I've just gotten to the point where a lot of times I really don't care about that divide so much. And I'm curious about how the rest of you feel about it. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong if you value that divide or anything like that. But I will tell you that I don't quite see it that way anymore. And it's funny because whenever people seem to get really mad whenever I talk about this. It seems to be one of those very passionate subjects, like alignment, where people will they're ready to tear each other's eyes out for disagreeing on the matter. But yeah, I don't want you to pretend that, I've already brought this example up with the armor class video, but it goes deeper than that. The example about the trolls. I don't want you to have to pretend that you don't know how to kill the troll. This used to not be the way that I looked at the game, but I used to play games that were not very objective oriented. Whenever I played 5e, it was not at all objective oriented. It wasn't in a manner of speaking, but more than anything, it was just a matter of, what do we learn about my character as I go through these scenarios? How can I express the growth that my character is having? What do I learn about the world, etc.? And those things I've pulled into my old school play. But, the thing is that in old school play, you are so close to losing absolutely everything, losing so much progress that you may have built, especially if you're playing in these games where no punches are being pulled. They are ready to send you to the cremation chamber. If that is the kind of game that you are playing, then somebody pretending not to know things so that they can go through these motions and limit their knowledge and deal with a problem in this roundabout way and lose their characters in the process. I understand some people enjoy that, but I'm really getting to the point where I really don't see the value in it that much. Instead, and this is strictly D&D. I've played Lion and Dragon. I've played, so I would also apply it to Dungeon Crawl Classics. I've played other RPGs. I've played Cyberpunk. I've played other RPGs, and in those games, a lot of times I would err more on the side of immersive role playing, all that. But whenever I'm playing D&D, especially BX or AD&D, I'm really, I know how lethal the game is, and I know how much of a setback we can have. I guess it depends on how much are we really pinning on the success of our characters. Because in an early BX game, who cares? Who cares if your characters die? I mean, you roll them up in another 10 minutes. Keep playing. Who cares? It doesn't matter. None of it really matters that much. And if they are at a point where you want to salvage their wretched corpses from the pits of destruction, then you can get raised dead with very little penalty at all. I don't think that there's even a con loss whenever you're raised in BX. I could be wrong. Somebody let me know. But I feel like I remember there being very, very few penalties with raised dead in BX. And so it was a breath of fresh air in AD&D whenever it's like, no, you're going to run out eventually, So just, I don't know, just my thoughts. I feel like whenever there's more on the line, it's more forgivable, if not desirable, to instead, rather than expect the players to pretend that they don't know things, that their characters don't know, to instead let their characters have suspicions and things like that. And then you can use character knowledge in order to confirm their suspicions, especially if you have some kind of knowledge checks or anything like that. But if the player already knows how to kill something because they have a suspicion, let them try it. Why not? Worst case scenario is that they end an encounter, or the trick monster doesn't do the trick. Kind of boo-hoo, typically. What I would say is, if you want to surprise your players like that, or have that kind of narrative play out at the table, then use new monsters or change the current ones. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I've got no issue with that. But we're having some chats in the Discord, and one of the very cool people in the Discord was EOTB. I'm gonna paraphrase him in that one of the things that you can do that is really intriguing or provides longevity to the game, in spite of the fact that people will be veterans who know how to deal with stuff, is that you, instead of trying to bring out this new sexy content or have them pretend that they don't know things, to instead just have very creative scenarios. The scenarios themselves are what present the incredible challenge that the player characters and the players themselves have to overcome. We're not really challenging ourselves that much if all we're doing is pretending we don't know how to solve something, when we actually do. We're just trying to be, slavishly following this credo of dividing character and player knowledge. I'm past it. I don't know how y'all feel about that. Let me know how you feel. Curse me out if you must. I will endure the slings and arrows, and y'all have a fantastic evening.